Welcome, everybody, to the Soul of the Unexplained. I am your host, Jim Kelgard, and with me is the most awesome panel of folks that I think we've ever assembled here at the Soul of the Unexplained. And of course, sadly, my brother from another mother and my co host and dear friend Roger Stokes is unable to be with us, but I've got some really cool people filling in for Roger, and we're going to start with somebody who I've shared the stage with at least once in my lifetime, and he's just the coolest guy, one of the most enjoyable people to be around, whether he's sober or not. Of course, I would like to welcome the one, the only Mr. Caleb Hanks. How are you, Caleb?
Wyatt, I am rolling. I am so happy to be here. I am so glad to see all of you. I've been uh, very long story short, went through a little bit of a hurricane situation. I
Right.
live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, and a little bit of a hurricane situation. So very happy to have power. Very happy to see you guys. I was thinking the whole time I was sitting there bored without power, like, I wish I could just jump on a podcast with the dudes. That would be fun. Anyway, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure to have you joining us. And I have to introduce the gentleman we saw on the screen just a moment ago because he had to chuckle while Caleb was talking. That would be my favorite Denver Broncos fan, Mr. John Nyberger. John, how are you?
Oh, doing pretty well. Not much going on over here lately. So thought I'd hop in on here with you guys too.
Well, we are
Pretty
so
happy to see
glad,
Caleb. Cheers me up, makes my day.
right? Absolutely. Good. Always good to see you. Always great
Nothing
to
else
have you join
happened
us.
today that was interesting, right?
No, not really. Not really, no. And of
No,
course, the always awesome May de Agua or Mighty Agua. May, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Jim. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to see you guys again, like twice in a week. I mean, that's just
Right?
awesome. I enjoy
And
that.
and what is the beverage that's on tap this evening?
Oh, tonight we have in my little Phenomicon shotcut, which actually Kevin bought, but I hijacked. And we've got the Buffalo Trace again because we already talked about how I can drink tequila way too fast. So
All right,
there we
folks.
go.
Well, May, do you want to instruct Caleb as to how the drinking game works?
Okay,
And all of
anytime,
our listeners and subscribers, you can play along as well if you want.
oh, I think
any
I know it. Can I guess?
Go
yes,
for it.
guess.
It's anytime anybody messes up immaculate comp drink.
Yeah.
Immaculate copulation. Is that what you were about to say?
Well,
Yes.
you had the immaculate constipation, and I was like, this guy just gets me. I'm sticking with that. I'd say it with my hand on the Bible in the courtroom.
Yep.
Caleb has done his homework.
Oh,
Yes,
I don't
indeed.
pop on these things unprepared, although I am completely unprepared and incredibly ill-equipped to be here. But I appreciate you guys having faith and letting me on your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, anytime anyone utters the phrase, I digress, we also take a drink. And my drink of choice, for those of you that are watching, is Blackberry Ginger Ale by Canada Dry, available exclusively at Costco. Cheers.
Nice.
Alrighty, folks. So we are here to talk about we're going to recap the historic 2024 Congressional UAP hearing that was done by a joint session of the Congressional Oversight and Accountability Committee. And so, if you remember, May and John and I, we kind of did a little preview a few days ago to kind of do a little bit of a primer for what we expected we might hear, what some of the people that are testifying would have had to say. And yes, of course, we knew that that subject of immaculate constellation would come up eventually, and sure enough, it did. So let's kind of begin with we'll talk about who the four witnesses that testified again were Lou Elizondo, former Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, and then we also had journalist Michael Schellenberger and Mike Gold, who at one point worked for NASA and has been on a number of committees investigating UFOs and UAPs. So John, we'll start with you. Overall, what was your impression of the hearing? Did it kind of meet your expectations? Is it exactly what you thought it was going to be, or were there a few surprises?
Boy, it was kind of a mix of all of the above in a weird way. That's a weird answer, but it kind of was what I was expecting. It didn't have any mind-blowing stuff like I was hoping for, because our the infamous hype man, Jeremy Corbell, was, hyping this up to be something that I think it ended up not being. However, if you think about it, think about the hearing that we just listened to and imagine that happening even 10 years ago. No way in hell would that happen. So, I mean, when you ponder that for a second, and then you realize what was actually said in the hearing,
Mhm.
and they're admitting, NHI, yeah, it's real. Technology of unknown origin, yep, it's real. Reproduction, alien reproduction vehicles, yeah, they're real.
Right.
Craft recovery teams, yeah, that's real too. But it just came across as like, yeah, it's real. It's no big deal. Sure, it's real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the more you think about it, the crazier it gets. But I would say it moved the ball down the field. Didn't have anything earth shattering. Um, I think one thing that was interesting was well, I'll get into this more later when we well, I don't know, maybe now is a good time to say this.
Immaculate
I think
constipation.
I had
Yes.
what's that?
Immaculate constipation. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
immaculate constipation. I think I need to start saying the real name because I'm going to admit that I think I've been wrong about this. The narrative that was developing, at least in my head prior to this, was that someone somewhere stumbled across some documents and leaked them. But if you read the document, that's not what it is. I mean, the start of the document says, this is the culmination of a multi-year internal investigation undertaken in response to urgent and credible threats. It says the author obtained access to this information while pursuing their lawful duties as an employee of the Department of Defense. I mean, I'm like, okay, this is not what I thought it was. This is someone who has been working on this report for a while. This is someone that stumbled across some stuff and leaked it. So that kind of completely throws out what I was saying in the past, including in our preview the other day. Like, if this was really someone leaking information, why aren't they arrested already? Well, now we know why, because apparently it was all legal.
Mhm.
And so I think that's interesting that it turned out to be a lot more plausible than I thought. It turns out that it might actually be real. And yeah, and it was entered in the record. So it's public.
Right. And one of the things that kind of struck me as interesting regarding the document was that Representative Mace made it available on the House website
Hmm.
for everybody to read. How freaking cool is that? I mean, that I did not see
Yeah,
that one coming. That was,
I didn't either.
I mean, and that's the very definition of transparency, is it not?
Yep, that was probably the biggest surprise. The other stuff that we heard, I think anyone who has been paying any attention at all to this topic, they've probably heard most of this stuff before several times. But actually getting to see the document the day of the hearing,
Right,
holy cow.
If
right.
nothing else, it was definitely a step in the right direction as far as how information is disseminated. Uh,
Correct.
I
Yep.
think when stuff like this comes out, the validity of it is always just like, do we know that it's legit? Do we know that this is the real deal? I always have my foot. I try to keep it firmly planted in skepticism, but I am so glad how they were able to put that information out for us this time. That was amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
It kind of before this, I was honestly thinking I am really not sure that that program was real. Like, I'm like, is this
Yeah.
a honeypot? Is this some sort of counterintelligence move? Someone leaked some documents that were fake. where someone's trying to publish some stuff that's to muddy the waters, stuff like that. But after reading the document and seeing how it was entered into the record, I'm starting to lean toward, holy crap, this might actually be real, which is
Right.
it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of processing it, honestly.
May, how about you? What's your take on the just as on the hearing overall, and do you care to comment on what John's mentioned as far as the way that Immaculate Constellation was actually discussed in the hearing, and then the fact that one of the things that Chairperson Mace did was she released the entire documents to the public the day of the hearing.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that she had done that. I had to leave right towards the end, and I had to hop in my car and listened on that and kept on going. So I didn't get to follow up more until I went a little while ago to just review to make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, I find that very fascinating. I can't wait to peruse that. And one takeaway I did have is that Immaculate Constellation was said 18 times with Miss Bobert butchering it once. So we drink to that one. So.
Drink to that, and also Miss Bobert making sure that the government doesn't have a chimera program.
Right? Holy crap.
Well, we should drink to Miss Bobert making complete sentences. I was impressed by that.
I'm just going to call her Bobo.
Hey, I'm from Colorado. I can say that about her.
Right?
There you go. But yeah, I mean, seriously though, I was very impressed with what the witnesses had to say, especially with Schellenberger, because like we said before, he's not a UFO UAP guy. He is an abuse and oversight, guy. And so for him to, I really appreciate it. He says, here, this is what it is. I'm going to protect my sources. I love that he especially said, I'll go to prison to protect my sources. Because there is his journalistic integrity. I am here to report what I've been given, not to make conjecture, not to give my own opinion on it, but just to give you what I've been given. And I think he did an excellent job of maintaining that neutrality about the information that he was providing. So I also absolutely fascinated with what Gallaudet had to say. The very confidence with which he said, these things are real. We've got things going on. People didn't want us to have this hearing. And so that there were a few things I definitely took away from there, and that were things are moving along slowly but surely.
I would agree. And I don't know if any of y'all picked up on it, but one of the things that kind of caught me kind of unaware was when Gallaudet name dropped Jay Stratton. How cool was that?
Yeah, definitely caught that.
Yes, I did notice.
That was kind of cool to hear Jay's name mentioned by Admiral Gallaudet. But so yeah, I mean, it was overall, I think that the needle did move forward with the hearing. We have to look at it from the standpoint of most of the people that are going to be watching and learning from this hearing are people that are not like us, that are plugged into it, that follow it, that are, that stay informed on this crazy multifaceted topic of UAP and UFO phenomena. So to a lot of the people that were watching this stuff was brand new, information. And I've watched the reactions of a couple of people, and their reaction was literally like, OMG, did this guy that worked in the Pentagon that investigated UFOs and UAPs just said that our nation has actually recovered bodies from these crashed UAPs, and that we actually have a program that recovers crashed UAPs and reverse engineers the technology? I mean, that's the kind of reaction that I've been watching various people throughout the day that are kind of either new to the topic or that really don't follow it all that closely. So I think to that end, this hearing was very useful and substantial in the fact that this is meant to educate the masses, if you will, the people that normally don't pay attention, because let's face it, the mainstream media doesn't really give it its due diligence. There's still a great deal of stigma, as Mike Gold said. There's still an awful lot of stigma, not just in media, but in the halls of science as well. And there's a great deal of feeling that it's still a bit of a, I think the term that he used was heretical. So, in other words, people consider it a bit of heresy if you're a scientist, like a legitimate scientist or physicist or astrophysicist, and you take an active interest in these things. And so it's good to get acknowledgement from somebody like Mike Gold that that kind of bias or that kind of prejudice exists within the halls of science. And we all know that because we've seen it, and a lot of us know some of the people that are heavily involved in wanting to bring this information to light to everybody. But overall, I think the hearing, I think it was useful. It wasn't really filled with an awful lot of oh shit moments. There were a few. So aside from the awesomeness of Immaculate Constellation being put out there for the public to read in all of its glory, which I have to say I have yet to read the document myself. But what were some of the other OMG or oh shit moments, if any of you had any? And Caleb, will start with you. What was there anything that really kind of stood out to you that was like, oh wow, I can't believe they said that?
Well, I think for this one, I'm probably gonna have to put my thinking cap on, guys.
Oh, he did it! Oh, he did it! Oh, oh my gosh!
Now I'm good.
Man,
Ah,
oh,
All hail, Bucky.
When you're discussing,
all hail, Bucky! I will drink to that, brother.
when you're
I
discussing,
didn't know it was drinking game night, or I would have brought something.
yeah. Well, there's the time is nigh. You can manifest something. All right. I'm gonna stop with that. I just had to.
Absolutely.
I have to deliver. Yeah. I mean, overall, for the hearing in general, for somebody that's like essentially been on the periphery of this stuff for a very long time, I can't say I'm like a super well researched person in a vast majority of this. However, a few years back, I did start really taking a genuine interest in the UFO phenomenon and just kind of started immersing myself in as much stuff that I possibly could. And, obviously when your brother is Micah Hanks and I used to do his podcast with him, I mean, you just kind of, you soak that stuff in, and paranormal stuff in general has been a big part of our lives for forever. I mean, my parents were interested in it and that kind of passed on to us. So I'm always kind of hesitant to speak on this stuff as though I'm educated about it. And so I'm always going to give the disclaimer that I don't think that I really am qualified to have an opinion. But if you're asking, I'll talk about it. And as far as like my perception of the hearing today, you know, I think for somebody like myself and you guys as well, I think that we all would want just like a little bit more, stuff because we're in this. We kind of know what to expect. But I will say, overall, there wasn't anything that I was like mind blown. I did like the attention given to USOs because I find that phenomenon to be insane. I was in Tempe, Arizona, talking to. I don't think I'm lying to you. I think it was Arizona, but I was talking to a guy named Mark D'Antonio. Do you guys know him?
Yeah, I know.
And he and I just went down the rabbit hole with the USO thing forever, and he was just talking about because he used to work on commercials like. There'd be like an Oreo commercial where he'd have to figure out how to shoot two fake Oreos out of a cannon and have them collide in slow motion. And so he's like got this background in like special effects and physics and that kind of stuff. And we just went down the rabbit hole for the longest time talking about that stuff. So insanely fascinated by that. Another thing that I will say that I thought was just like a really awesome thing to witness is somebody like Michael Schellenberger, who seems to be somebody with a lot of integrity and allowing to put his, credibility on the line to come and talk to people about this sort of thing. Because again, he's not touting that he is like an expert by any means on this, but he is essentially representing that he trusts his sources, and he seems like he's a very stand-up dude. And I don't feel like you always get that when it comes to politics. And just kind of a great thing to see. Otherwise, again, yeah, very excited that Lauren Boebert is keeping her finger on the pulse of the Chimera projects. And
Bobo.
yeah, yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the highlights for me.
Right on. May, how about you?
Sorry, I have to unmute. You never know when those dogs are going to run through and just bark and interrupt everyone. Sorry. Um, really, like again, nothing really earth-shattering, but what I do appreciate is the pointing out that the culture of the witnesses is changing. I can't remember who said it's no longer just the guy who lives in his Winnebago. It's scientists. It's people that have it's these military people with high clearance and education. So we're seeing that culture of witnesses and reporting changing and becoming more credible. And because everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got a camera, you're not going to escape being able to control everyone's photos out there. That to me says, look, it's getting harder and harder to deny these things exist. And to that reason, since people have been claiming for decades, it's going to get harder to deny that there are programs that are addressing this, especially given the things like, oh my goodness, when they mentioned the single on-call psychological operations officer, whose pretty much sole job is to, disinform and intimidate and, who does that? I mean, who decides that you have the need for that kind of person? And then further, what kind of person, what kind of human being decides that's a fun job? I think I'll do this. And I think that's the thing is showing people that things are coming to light. You're not going to be able to stop it. And so you might as well start with the transparency and the disclosure to the extent that we're not putting people at risk or compromising the information about our technology that we've been developing. It's got to come somehow. And I think that was the biggest thing is, saying that, yeah, I think this was Moskowitz saying, asking, oh, this was probably my notes. I'm terrible. I wish I could take better notes, but he had been talking to, I want to say it was Gallaudet, who had talked about the reports that were out there. And he says, look, Americans have questions. And I think, like we've said before, I've said, I don't need all the answers. I just need some answers and some accountability.
Right. So, Mr. Nyberger, one of the most important questions facing us as humanity right now.
Oh no.
Which song has the greater guitar solo? Hotel California or Comfortably Numb? Joe Walsh and Don Fuller
Oh.
or David Gilmour?
Oh my Lord.
Come on. I think we broke John.
How do you choose? There is no winner who chooses between one of those two.
I mean, I could choose, but it's only because I'm biased as hell.
Yeah, I mean, Comfortably Numb is freaking amazing. I mean, David Gilmour, that's one of the most iconic guitar solos ever.
Mm-hmm.
But so is the dueling guitar solos or dual guitar solo in Hotel California. So I don't know. Honestly, for me personally, which one do I want to hear? David Gilmour.
Gilmour's my boy.
Yeah, but I love both. They're both incredible for different reasons.
Caleb, you chimed in. What is your opinion?
Yeah.
All right. So hear me out. I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'm gonna get close. So here's the thing. Pink Floyd's incredible. Literally one of my favorite songs of all time is On the Turning Away. One of the most
Oh,
beautiful,
heavens, yes.
incredible, powerful tunes. My mom and dad used to play Hotel California on repeat when I was a kid to the point to where I thought I hated the Eagles. But then a couple of years later, when I'd had, 20 plus years away from the album, I watched that documentary, The History of the Eagles, like
Mhm.
4 hours long. It's
Right.
incredible. So through that, I just fell in love with Joe Walsh because I was like, well, I certainly resonate with that dude.
Right. How can you not? He's
I think
such a great guy.
I can see that, Caleb.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I've never trashed a hotel room because I respect the cleaning people too much, but it sure did look fun. But that being said, here's the thing. If I were going to have to listen to it, I'm going to have to pick Hotel California because it's just a beautifully arranged piece of music. And what's really beautiful in between there is you have Walsh doing his little things, and then you have Randy,
Don Felder.
Don Felder. I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, Randy's a bass player.
Yep.
Doing his little riffs in between, and they're kind of just like talking there at the end. But the number one reason there's not a lot of songs out there that can actually kind of creep me out, but that one creeped me out when I was a kid because I was like, Mom, are they singing about ghosts killing people? Oh my God. But yeah, I just still to this day, I think that is one of the coolest, just kind of spooky, eeriest tunes. I love it to death.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the way
same.
you said, the way you described the solos as being arranged, the way they're arranged, yeah, it's perfectly done.
Yeah.
Like it has it's almost like a song in itself.
Yeah,
It has
absolutely.
art where it develops, and it just takes you to a spot. It takes you on a ride, whether you want it to or not, and takes you all the way to the end.
That's
And
that's the thing with the whole song. It's like the whole song is kind of taking you on this like little mental movie. And I thought that was really interesting. I saw some video footage of them playing at the Big Sphere in Las Vegas, and the whole time, it's interesting you say that, John. The whole time that they're playing that, in the background, there's just this car winding up the curvy roads of the California mountains while they're playing that. It looked so cool.
Right on. Awesome. Well, thanks for that nice little detour. Now, John, let's get your take. You know, what are your thoughts on what some of the maybe aside from immaculate contraption? Oh, did it again. Damn it.
you
Frank.
did it on purpose that time. I
I'm
saw
sure
it.
he did. Oh, look
Yeah,
at that. He just drained his
he's
can.
trying to get
No,
you two drunk.
I still have some in here. Thank you very much.
You're
He's
gonna
trying
have
to
to
get
But
you guys drunk.
don't make me go out to the fridge and get me another one because I'll do it.
You may have to.
John, so what were some of the moments that you felt were kind of significant? Maybe not so much bombshell, but aside from the Immaculate Constellation stuff, anything else about the hearing specifically that stood out to you that was a particular interest?
You know, I think it's more that once again it was taken very seriously by all of the committee members. And Bobo's silly comments at the beginning notwithstanding, it was once again entirely nonpartisan, which I love. It still kind of blows my mind that literally on any other topic, some of these people would be ripping into each other left and right. But in that room, in front of those witnesses with this topic, that just disappears. It's like, all right, it's almost like they know this is serious. They know this is real, and it just kind of sucks the politics out of the room and is like, all right, let's get real for a second. So I think the fact that kind of continued is enlightening. And I've heard that there might be another hearing coming up in December in the Senate.
In the Senate,
And
yes, just
so
apparently announced today, actually. So
yeah, so if that happens, it will be interesting to see if the lack of partisan, politics continues over there. I hope so. But I think that's really what stood out is that like it's being treated seriously.
right,
Even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have expected this. But 10, 20 years ago, no way in hell. You even mention UFOs or anything like that, you're going to get laughed out of the room, and no way are
Well,
you getting a
well,
real hearing
that
with
that's just it. I mean,
this caliber of people.
I remember watching a comedy special, and I forget who the comedian was, but after he was just, going through his little spiel on whatever it was he was talking about, he said, and yeah, right, and that's about the time that the UFOs start to land, and it was like, that makes people laugh because it's like, yeah, that's such a
Hmm.
ridiculous, you know, such a fringe idea, and now here we are in 2024 and talking about UFOs landing. It's like, okay, it's probably still going to generate some snickers and some laughter, but at the same time, it's like the place where we're at. This stuff is now, like you said, John. I mean, because for me, I was not at all a UFO guy until 2017 when that New York Times article dropped, and it was like, wow, there's actually possibly some truth to this. And then as I began going down the rabbit hole over the ensuing years, and then you know, with the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch docuseries and learning all about that. I mean, it's just you go down this rabbit hole, and I'm still going down these rabbit holes. And Caleb, you were talking a moment ago about paranormal stuff. I mean, I was never at all really. I mean, I had a passing interest in things, like let's watch a documentary on Bigfoot. Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's watch this thing on shadow beings or whatnot. And then here I am, since starting this podcast that Roger and I have been doing it, now I've never had a UAP sighting or UFO sighting, but I've had encounters with shadow beings. I've stuff that I never thought I would ever experience are now part of my. That's just it. I've become an experiencer, and that itself has kind of become a bit of what's joined the lexicon is not just being a believer, but being an experiencer. And we've talked about what that's like when you cross that threshold from being a believer to actually witnessing and experiencing something and becoming an experiencer, where it just completely turns your world upside down and inside out to the extent that you don't know which end is up anymore sometimes. So I think that some of these stories that we've heard in the past of people that have experienced UAP, UFO sightings, and not even getting into the alien abduction aspect of it, which I really don't know what to make of. But for some of these people that experience these things, a lot of these people, it's a traumatic experience. I mean, it really kind of, again, turns their world inside out and upside down. And the fact that we are now talking about this in the halls of government, and we've had our second hearing now, and then you go back to last year where the Schumer-Rounds amendment was put up for a vote in Congress, and the phrase non-human intelligence was mentioned in the legislation 20 some odd times. I mean, look at how far we've come, like you said, John, just in the last 5 years. And it may not seem like that needle has moved all that far from when David Grush and Ryan Graves and David Fravor gave their testimony last year at the hearing. There's been little things that have happened in the interim. We had uh, that balloon flap, right? The balloons allegedly that were shot down, and we still don't know anything about at least two of them that were shot down. So couple that with the Immaculate Constellation and this new hearing, it does feel like there is traction still being gained in the halls of government and otherwise, and to bringing all this information out in the open. So I guess the question I would like to ask each of you right now is, where do you think the whole movement goes from here? Do you think we are going, because we keep hearing a lot of people saying, well, the genie's out of the bottle. And I agree with that up to a point. I agree with the fact that the genie's out of the bottle in the sense that you've got two people that worked in the Department of Defense, being Grush and now Elizondo, that have testified and gone under oath and testified of some of the truly fantastic claims, such as we do have UFO crash retrieval programs. We do have reverse engineering programs to exploit technology. And of course, the big one is that we do, in fact, have biologics or bodies of the occupants of some of these craft that have been recovered. And now we know that. That's on record. So either Grush and Elizondo lied through their teeth and lied under oath, or there really is something to all of this stuff. So my question to each of you, and May, we'll start with you this time. So yeah, take yourself off mute. But where do you think the next logical progression is going to be? Are we going to see more hearings more frequently, perhaps, than just once a year? And do you think specifically, and I'll put this to all of you as well, will we see Congress use its power to subpoena people who otherwise might not be willing to volunteer to come forward and talk at a hearing? People like a Sean Kirkpatrick or some of the people that have been accused of being part of the cover-up, like Susan Goff. So May, what say you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, fortunately, Mr. Ogles got there just in time. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes,
May say,
I clapped out loud when he had his
yeah,
final
it's like,
remarks. That was amazing.
yeah, he got there. Mace was like, "You're just in time, babe." I thought that was a really interesting thing in the halls of Congress. But he threw down the gauntlet, and I'm glad he got there because he absolutely said it. And I had to go back and copy down what he said because he absolutely wrapped up what's going to have to happen. Because now he says, I would posit that as the legislative body, as the regulatory body, we must know. And anyone who prevents us from gaining access to that information, I would consider that criminality. He threw down the gauntlet with the word criminality. He made it very clear that heads are about to start rolling if Congress isn't going to not get its way, but really get its way and be able to operate as it's intended.
I agree. And I heard nothing but applause after he
Mm-hmm.
made that comment. So it clearly resonated with a lot of the people that were attending that hearing in person. So very good. Caleb, how about you? Where do you think this goes? And do you think we will ever see Congress use its subpoena power?
That's hard to say. As far as how I see it going, I feel like everything that happens in government happens at the speed of a gerbil water dispenser. Happens in a drip feed, and it is a long, slow, painful, arduous, horrifying process.
So basically, as long as it takes to get a new Guns N' Roses album, basically.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Um, yeah, I mean, the way I see it moving forward is slowly. I mean, I think that we're moving in the right direction, but it is at a snail's pace. And I think one of the biggest problems is like agencies cooperating with other agencies, ego being a big problem within the entire sphere of ufology. Ego gets in the way of a lot of progress. And you see that happen all the time. And it's kind of a bummer because you know that there's also a lot of people out there that are like, putting their credibility on the line to be able to try to disseminate information that is actually factual and give that to the people because at the end of the day, you can't lie to the people anymore. Too many people have experienced the phenomenon and they've seen it. They just aren't buying the silence, the, you know, push you over here, deflect over there kind of thing. I do think that the entire movement is making progress, but because of all the things that I kind of mentioned there, I do still see it moving a lot slower than I would like. But you never know. There could be something that comes out of left field that could turn this whole thing over. And I mean, when like the gimbal video and things like that hit the internet, that was one of those, paradigm shifting moments that, I mean, if that had not happened, I doubt we'd be where we are today as far as getting this stuff out to the public. So let's hope another one of those is in the rafters or in the wing, waiting to just one day pop out on the internet.
Right, right. John, Van Halen's Eruption. Who played it better, Micah Hanks or Eddie Van Halen? Go.
Oh, again, another impossible choice. Like, there's no way to choose. You know, I mean, Eddie was great,
Right.
but I mean,
But
have you ever
he was
seen
no
Micah?
he's no Micah.
Right. I mean, I've never seen Eddie live. I've seen Micah live. You know, you
Yeah,
got
well,
live.
how, how many podcasts about UFOs has Eddie done?
Right.
Right.
Zero. None
I
whatsoever.
I rest my case. Yes,
Yeah.
there you
I
go.
mean, come on.
All right,
Okay,
Steve.
John,
Yeah.
where do you see this going, and will we ever see Congress use that subpoena power?
I kind of do think you and I talked about this. Doesn't it feel like something's about to happen? Like
Yes.
it just feels like it. You know,
Yes.
like I mean, I know there's a lot of tension in the world right now for a million different reasons. We just had an election. So for a lot of reasons, people are thinking, oh crap, something's coming, you know, something big's happening. But it kind of feels like even in this on this particular topic, it feels like something is brewing and it's like about to boil over. And if we just had this hearing, you know, where all of this stuff came out, it was taken very seriously. The Immaculate Constellation document was submitted, you know, in the public record. The public now gets to read it. And now we've got potentially another hearing in the Senate with Gillibrand in a few weeks, I guess. It would be in December.
Yep.
And then you have Burchett coming out and saying he's gotten Trump's assurance that Trump wants to let all this stuff come out. And you have people who seem to be pro-disclosure making it into important positions. I think I'm kind of losing track, but if I recall, you know, John Ratcliffe, who a former
Right.
DNI, now soon to be probably CIA director,
Correct.
seems to be pro-disclosure. In fact, I think he came out and said the
Mhm.
American people should know this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember the others. I think it was the
Matt Gaetz was just named as the Attorney General, and he's one of the most
oh, I hadn't even
pro
thought of, yeah.
UAP. So
I was thinking of I think it's the maybe it was the new national security advisor. I'm kind of like I said, I haven't been sleeping well. My brain is mush right now. But I
right.
think it was the guy that's going to be the national security director or national security advisor. I think I'll have to look it up. But yeah, there's at least 3 or 4 people in prominent positions
Yes.
that seem to be pro-disclosure.
Mhm.
From what it sounds like, Trump is pro-disclosure. So if you add that, plus the timing of all of this stuff coming out now, plus another hearing in December, it could be that this picks up steam really quickly. I mean, I don't know, but it kind of feels like it could go either way. Like you've got like
Yeah.
Caleb was saying, egos matter here. You know, you've got um, lots of people want to be the first ones to break the story. There's egos inside government. Probably everyone wants to protect their part of they want to protect their turf and the parts of this alleged program that they're responsible for. They want to protect that part. Um, and if anything, they want to consolidate some of the others maybe under them, and maybe there's jockeying for power. You know, there's lots of forces competing against each other that are pro-disclosure and anti-disclosure. But it does kind of feel like it would just take the slightest little thing, like another Phoenix Lights. Imagine Phoenix happening again
Oh,
in a day with cell phones.
exactly. Imagine what the Phoenix Light incident would have been
Yeah,
like had it happened in 2023 or
right.
2024.
So
Just
now,
Yeah.
post Grush, post all those guys, after this hearing, after Gillibrand's hearing, maybe, then next thing you know, bam, another giant freaking football-sized or mile-long triangle goes slowly cruising over some major city, and you have thousands of people that have it on cell phones. so you know it's not faked.
And you got
Right.
Kurt Russell standing there like, not again.
It's like, damn it, right? He's like,
Oh,
Forget
yes.
cell phones. It'll be on everybody's Ring cameras.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, it would just take one event like that to happen again. Anything that is verifiable, like multiple cell phones, ring cameras, whatever it is, anything like that that's pretty big. I mean, lots of people see lights and stuff. That's not going to move the needle because there's a million things in the sky that could be cause lights, but a
Right.
giant triangle that blocks out the stars or something like that.
Heck,
You
even
know,
a chandelier.
right? A chandelier in the sky, an
Oh, yes.
immaculate chandelier, you might
Immaculate
say.
I
chandelier.
think that counts.
I think that counts, folks. Drink up.
Yeah, but like I said, all it takes is that one more little spark, and the whole thing might go up. So you never know, because then people will be demanding answers. There's people that aren't really paying attention right now, but if something like that were to happen, a whole crap ton of people are going to be demanding answers. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and to speak to what you said a few moments ago, John, about they're just and Caleb and May, feel free to chime in if you want, but I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just there does feel to be something just lingering out there that just feels like there's something's about to change, and I don't know if I want to necessarily ascribe an ominous type of tone or feeling to that, but just it feels maybe, I mean, and of course it could be because there's so much uncertainty with a lot of things right now. Um, but it just has seemed to me that there's just perhaps all of this is just building towards some kind of big moment or big event, and what that might be, I don't know because I'm horrible at articulating what I'm trying to say. But it just feels like there's something looming out there on the horizon that I don't know, just feels like the winds of change of some kind are blowing. And I don't know. I don't know whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And I'm not trying to put that in a political slant or anything like that. That's not at all the road that I'm going down with any of this. But like you, John, like you have said as well, Caleb and May, I I do agree. In fact, we had during the interview today, we had Lou Elizondo mention the fact that, if all this stuff ends up being some kind of foreign adversary that has managed to leapfrog us in terms of technology, that would be an intelligence failure on the level of 9/11, but by an order of magnitude. And we all know that one of the reasons why 9/11 took place was because we had all these agencies that had set up their little fiefdoms or fiefdoms, however you choose to use the word, but that, it was basically a pissing match. The FBI didn't want to talk to the NSA. The NSA didn't want to share information with the CIA, and the CIA was saying fuck you to everybody that asked them for help. So that's how these terrorists for 9/11 slipped through the cracks, right? So we know that there's precedent, there's history for these egos of getting in the way, and a lot of times you do have politicians that they want that victory, they want to be on the right side, and they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that the narrative goes their way. And that's why politics is the second oldest profession in the world, and it bears a striking resemblance to the oldest profession in the world, as Ronald Reagan used to say. But yeah, I think where it goes from here, just my personal belief, I would love to see Congress use some of their subpoena power and put some of these hostile witnesses under the third degree. But of course, at the same time, I think we all know that if they really were hiding something, all they would have to do is invoke their Fifth Amendment privilege, and we won't be any the wiser necessarily. But at the same time, I do think that I think the momentum continues to build from here, and hopefully, I'm not. The jury is still out for me on Immaculate Constellation. Um, I do feel a little more comfortable about maybe lending some credence to it, but I still haven't decided if I'm convinced that it is what it's being presented as being. And for that, only time will tell, I guess. But I think that today was a significant in the sense that it was needed to help move that ball a little further down the field. It wasn't, we didn't get a first down on the first series, if you will, to use a football analogy, but nevertheless, I think we gained some positive yardage with this hearing. Exactly how far remains to be seen, perhaps, but some of the standout moments for me, and you guys can tell me if you disagree or not, but one of the things that shocked me was um, Elizondo in particular, and also Gallaudet, really didn't try to evade the questions about the biologics and the fact that bodies had been recovered and that there were crash retrieval programs and that the government is deliberately trying to cover these up. I mean, that is what bigger news is there than that? And yet, at least not that I've seen since starting today's podcast here, I haven't seen CNN covering this. I haven't seen the New York Times covering this. I haven't seen any of the really big, legacy media jump on this and say, "Holy crap! Look at what happened on Capitol Hill today." So I think that kind of shows that there's still a ways to go before we really truly break through some of that old stigma that's still there. What are any thoughts on that from anybody?
I had a thought regarding to immaculate constipation. Oh, son of a! All
I
right.
tell you,
Do
you did it on purpose. You're trying to finish
I
that
did.
Guinness
I
there.
did. My throat was
Look.
dry. Here's a thought, though. Think about this. If let's just say the immaculate constellation stuff was completely false as a document, that doesn't mean that shit's still not happening. That doesn't mean that every single thing that is talked about in that document is not still going on. It just means that that document itself is just not credible. That's kind of how I tend to compartmentalize stuff because there is always this weird shrouded way that the government is going to talk about and or address any sort of thing related to UFOs, typically because of military strategization, if that's a word. Um, but strategy. That's the one. But
Strategery.
Wasn't that a Bee Gees song?
Yeah, that
Strategy. Strategy. Sorry.
but like there's always going to be weirdness around that. But that doesn't mean just because they aren't saying that it's happening or not saying that it isn't going on. And I think that, people that have witnessed or researched or speculated this sort of stuff and tend to think that that is the way things are going. I mean, they could very well be right. That's kind of how I've looked at it for a good long while because I'm like, there's just so many stories. There's too many eyewitness accounts. There's too many people that were former government that have come out and spoken about their experiences seeing these things. It's kind of like whose word are you going to take? The big kind of crazy, ball of twine of bureaucracy of government, or these individuals that have come forth and risk their credibility to be able to tell you these things. So it's kind of like you can kind of pick who you want to trust in that. But that's my thing is like, even if these things are not being like, yes, this is the smoking gun on paper, that doesn't really concern me all that much because there's so much evidence still out there to the contrary of whatever that stuff's saying.
Right. Well, and you bring up a good point about that. I mean, John and I a number of times have compared Immaculate Constellation to the MJ-12 documents, right? Now, there's still a lot of debate as to whether or not the MJ-12 documents were real or whether they're completely bogus. But at the same time, what if, let's say, the documents themselves for MJ-12 are not authentic and they're not real, but what if there really was a program within the United States government that functioned in the same manner as the MJ-12, as Majestic 12 is alleged to have operated. And for me, that is very, very likely a possibility. And same thing with this Immaculate Constellation. Who's to say that maybe, let's say that this document per se isn't entirely accurate, but what is the likelihood of there perhaps being a similar program out there that really is in existence, that really does do all of the things that are outlined in the documents that were released today, but it goes under a different nickname, different code name, whatever you want to call it, and has, but essentially has the same function. And of course, obviously, along with that, the same degree of classification. So I think that's an excellent point, Caleb. Very, very, very well put. John, how about you? Any thoughts on that?
What was the question again?
The question was, who is the better performer, Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift?
Oh, Garth Brooks.
Good answer.
Garth Brooks just walks on stage and he owns it, you know.
Especially back in the 90s when him and his guitar player would just smash acoustic guitars. They would swing each other like baseball bats.
Yeah.
That's a wild time to be alive.
I mean, granted, again, two very different times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Taylor Swift among her fan base rules just like Garth Brooks did. But Garth Brooks back in the day, man, he was the king. Like nobody was. It was him and maybe Michael Jackson. You know, we're like all they'd have to do is walk on stage and stand there, and people would be losing their minds. You know,
absolutely.
So it's going to be Garth.
Well, I mean, you can't deny that there is a certain that star quality that Taylor Swift has. Can a lot of it be attributed to social media use and the way she has embraced that as a way of connecting with fans and creating that whole culture of the Swiftie.
Yeah,
so
it's a different
I mean,
world.
when you question who is the better performer, I'm wondering, are you asking who is better talent on stage or who is putting on a show that is undeniably, I mean, I'm not a fan at all of her music or her. I just Pop-Tart. But there's no denying that she has really capitalized on
she's tapped into a zeitgeist, hasn't she?
Absolutely.
It's on a hell of a show from what I hear.
In the rain and I mean, so I mean, that's the
now,
thing.
I may be biased, but I think Hitchhiker probably puts on a better
I think Hitchhiker puts on an amazing show. There's this one guy who keeps smacking on a tambourine. I mean, until his hands were red. He was so great.
He almost broke his hands playing tambourine.
They sang songs of his valor while beating the tambourine all throughout the hills of Vernal after the show. It was incredible.
I plead ignorance. I plead ignorance.
But he's rubbing his hands. You notice how he's rubbing his hands?
It's because the damn hand still hurts. It's still red.
He's having flashbacks. Trauma is being held in his hand.
Triggered.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
I didn't want to burn the image into anyone's eyeballs, so I decided not to take a picture of it. But I think I had mentioned before that after the show, I wake up in the hotel room the morning after, and when I was hitting the snare drum doing the rim shots, I didn't even realize it while we were playing because adrenaline and booze, and I was just hitting myself in the thigh over and over again. And I'm not even kidding. I had like a blood bruise that went about that big, and it took up until about 2 weeks ago to go away.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Looks like you might be entitled to immaculate compensation.
Oh, no, she didn't. Oh, I will drink to that.
All right, that was genius, actually, May.
Immaculate compensation. Oh, boy. Yeah,
well, hey, I have additional permanent hearing loss from it, so how's that?
You serious?
Bud.
Oh, yeah, you know. A little more, but, you know, a little more ringing, a little less hearing, you know, it's no big deal. It's all in the life of a rock star, right?
Well,
Yeah.
all I can offer you, John, is immaculate consolation.
Oh my God.
Now she's
Ah,
just looking for excuses to drink,
yeah.
Yeah,
which
this is getting
I
ridiculous.
fully endorse.
This is absolutely awful. Hey, I will say, I don't know if I guess we're not live streaming, but I got a serendipitous text. I got a text from Roger. So, Roger, if you're
Wow.
listening, brother, I miss you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you recover soon. And we're gonna play some Diablo 3, bro. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Roger is awesome, and we certainly miss his presence here on the Soul of the Unexplained. He's
Mhm.
among other things, he helps me to he helps keep me reined in whenever I start to get a little too verbose. So
But the good news is you can start out every show with Led Zeppelin's Ramble On as your theme music.
that's true. We could do
That's,
that.
That's a
Or
great tune.
or should it be When the Levee Breaks? Because I've always loved
Ah,
that drum beat and When the Levee Breaks. John Bonham, oh my gosh.
dude. Well, the funny thing was, I used to, for a very, very short period of time, there was a political show in town, and I worked at the radio station 570 AM, and used to run the board for a very few shows for the Matt Matan show, and that was his intro song. So I got to hear that like in the old school AM radio days, dude. Back, oh man, I just love broadcast so much. This very much captures the spirit of it. But if you've ever gotten to broadcast live from an old radio station and everything is weird, and you can tell the people used to smoke in there, and there's the blinky towers out in the dark, oh, that's the stuff. God, I
Right?
miss it.
No doubt, no doubt.
Speaking of text messages, Caleb, I mentioned to a certain someone that you are on this podcast right now. And she said to say, "We love you, Beaver." So I'm passing that along.
Yeah, I got 3 guesses who that is, and the first 2 don't count. Well, tell her I love her too. And I'm in full beaver form tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Yes,
were
yes,
wondering if we
yes.
could get you to show up in the outfit. So I'm glad you brought it and you brought it
Yeah.
out. That
So
was-
Yeah, I was
so
debating whether to just come on camera in it or if I could just like play it out for a while like I wasn't going to. I think I played it out the right way.
My daughter has the same pajamas, and she does. She comes downstairs in her Bucky's
Oh,
pajamas with the
nice.
hood on. Yeah, I live in Texas, so Bucky's is a culture here. And I was looking around. I'm like, surely I have something Bucky's within reach because I've got plushies and Bucky's koozies. It's all about the beaver.
The cult of Bucky is real. And I will say
did you
also,
say did you say Bucky's cooch, May? What did you say?
Koozie.
Do I
Look,
dare even
Oh my
ask?
I
God.
said
Jim,
koozie,
look,
like for your beer. Yeah.
either way, it's a beaver. All right. So that being said,
This has gone
Okay.
way downhill, and I
Wow.
love every second of it.
we have
Wow.
devolved. But I have to say, Bucky's marketing is incredibly on point because I was driving 15 hours to Salem, Massachusetts right before the hurricane hit. And there was a sign that said, "Next Bucky's, 390 miles. You can wait."
Oh, absolutely. I love the billboards. The billboards are part of the whole. Yeah, just I actually time my trips so that I can drink my coffee at home, leave here, stop at the Bucky's in Luling, get a kolache, and then by the time I get to the Bucky's in Katy, it's time to go to the potty. So
You guys thought you were going to hear about Immaculate Constellation, and you ended up being honorary members of the Bucky's fan club.
absolutely.
So, John, explain to the folks at home what this whole thing about Bucky's and Caleb, where that all stems from, because you're probably a better storyteller at it than I am.
Well, as I remember it, well, we had all gathered in a certain state for a certain rehearsal for a certain band at a certain person's house, right?
Mhm.
And we were hanging out at our friend's house, drinking and listening to what were we listening? It started out synthwave, right?
Oh hell, we
Yeah.
were listening to
Hey,
everything.
nice.
There was some great synthwave, we're like
Remember.
Gunship, and then we were
Gunship was a big one, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so and then Caleb walks over and shows up in his full Bucky Beaver regalia. And we have photos to prove it.
I will just say that I may or may not be planning an even more elaborate Bucky's themed shenanigan. I'll put it that way. We'll see. You said you felt there was something big on the horizon. Let me tell you, there is.
All righty. You heard it right here first, folks. Man.
Are you talking about a certain event in December, maybe?
Maybe.
Or is
We'll
it
see.
unrelated? All right, okay.
Oh, no, it's related.
I can
So-
see the memoirs now. Bucky's and Buffalo Trace.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
Now
good Lord.
that's a scary night. It's like,
Well, it's either going to have to be Buffalo Trace or Angel's Envy or what's the other really good bourbon?
Four Roses.
Uh, I think I got a bottle of Woodford Reserve last time I was out there, but Buffalo Trace is what I've been looking for. And of course, here in Utah, you just simply cannot get Buffalo Trace, and it's just not fair. It's not fair.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure. I can feel how sorry you are all the way from here, May. Thank you.
You can probably see it on my cheeks.
You do look a little rosier than usual.
I got
So
gin
yeah,
blossoms.
right. So we also have to talk about the amazing Mexican food of all places that we had in Alabama. Good heavens! I mean, I am, as May can tell you, I am not somebody who eats guacamole. In fact, I am like one of the most anti-guacamole people you could ever come across. But yet, we had guacamole in Alabama that just I'm still having dreams, and I still have the night sweats about because it was so dang good.
That Caleb and I
Night
saw it.
sweats.
We witnessed it.
yep.
And is this, I am not exaggerating, am I, Caleb? Jim looked like he was having a religious experience.
I took a Polaroid and had it notarized. I mean, I was blown away.
Yeah. The look on his face was immaculate.
Yeah. And he might have
Concentration.
Immaculate
I
guacamole in this case, but it was unbelievable.
I'll take it.
He just was pausing and looking at us, and his eyes were like this big, like,
My family still.
what have I been
refused to
missing
believe-
my entire life? It was regret. It was the look of regret. Is really what it was.
Is that what it was?
Yes,
Okay.
you were regretting a lifetime of missing out on guacamole. That was,
Guacamole FOMO.
I mean, I could see tears, a single tear,
Yeah.
almost like
A
Tell
Paula
me.
Cole song started playing on the jukebox. It was crazy.
Oh no, no,
went
no! I
away.
would have remembered that. Oh, good Lord! Oh,
You know, she used to be a backup singer for Peter Gabriel.
really?
Yep.
Paula-
If you
Paula
look at the
Cole.
if you see the Secret Worlds world tour, she's one of the backup singers back there. She's the one that sings Blood of the Eden with him. It's pretty awesome.
Wow, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm like a diehard Peter Gabriel fan.
oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you like the song Biko?
Oh, absolutely. I like all of his songs.
Yeah, Biko. The reason here's a silly music trivia thing. The reason why I love the song Biko so much, back in the '80s, I was a huge fan of Miami Vice, and in the first season of Miami Vice, in one of the last episodes of the first season, it's one of the best episodes of the entire series. And during the outro, the end part of the episode, they play Peter Gabriel's Biko in full, and it's just like it adds so much impact to the scene of what's going on in that episode. And ever from that moment on, I became a lifelong Peter Gabriel fan. I mean, I liked his stuff before, like Shock the Monkey and Games Without Frontiers and all that stuff. But yeah, the way that they placed Biko in that episode of Miami Vice was just, just absolutely chill-inducing. Really good.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it Paula Cole that did the live version of Don't Give Up? That's so
Yep.
freaking good.
Oh yeah.
my
Yeah, she was
God.
standing in for Kate Bush. Dude, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
So good.
well, I'm a massive Sinead O'Connor fan, and Blood of the Eden, which was originally Sinead and Peter, I was like, bro, like the first time I came across that thing. So And then also,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, Don't Give Up is absolutely, that's like one of the most beautiful choruses of all time. I will say, like, I loved everything Peter Gabriel did. I think he caught my eye when I was a kid because his music videos were just batshit crazy. But
Right.
like I think it's just the 2 disc Secret Worlds live album.
Mm.
Man, I don't love all live albums because they don't all sound that great, but boy, does that one sound incredible. And they do some versions like, so when you listen to like the OG Salisbury Hill, it's kind of this folky, kind of like, rambling, kind of almost Beatles-esque kind of tune. Dude, on the Secret Worlds live thing, this, like his drummer, who is like, just a lunatic on the drums, man. He is over there just beating the shit out of that thing, and the energy in that, and also too is just they'll like pipe up the crowd in the mix of the
Yep.
audio, and them just like screaming at certain points. That is one of the most energetic recordings I've ever heard. But anyway, sorry,
Good freaking
UFOs.
energy. Is that
No,
Manu Katché? I gotta look it up now.
Yeah, I think so. I can never remember his name. He is just like ridiculous, though.
and a lot of people forget that Peter Gabriel, long time ago, was a member of Genesis, one of the original members of Genesis way back in
Yeah,
the day. So,
he was there before Phil Collins.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
talented town.
Right?
God almighty.
No question. So, Caleb, let's kind of tie this back in with the strange and unusual, and let's talk about Hitchhiker for a moment. So, what was one of your favorite moments performing on stage at Phenomicon?
Bro, it's all about that tambourine.
Oh
Man,
man,
honestly,
I'm never gonna live that shit down.
I
That was
I th-
awesome.
I say you get a bigger tambourine for next year. Just every year it just
Oh,
incrementally grows. Um, man, I have too many good memories. I mean, that whole entire experience was so number one, I'm from the mountains of Western North Carolina. I don't get out to the desert territory all that often. So every time that I do, uh, I grew up very poor and literally never thought I was ever even going to fly on a plane because I was like, I'm never going to be able to afford that. So I still look at being able to get out of town as just like this really magical, incredible thing.
mhm.
So number one, going to McConkey Ranch in Vernal earlier in the day before, I think that might have been the day before the show, but that was just beautiful. So cool to see all those petroglyphs all over the rocks over there. I mean, that is just a very spiritual feeling area.
Right, right.
And the conference itself, everybody was just in the spirits were so high. Getting to see Nick Pope after like 10 years or something, and he is just like, I love that dude so
Right.
much. Like anytime I see, like, I was just looking over and saw my wife and Nick Pope standing there, and he just standing there listening to the band drinking a beer. I was like, what universe am I in, dude? But like, yeah, I mean, playing the show was super fun. I mean, obviously getting to meet you guys and everybody in the band and just the camaraderie there, and playing rock and roll again. I mean, dude, I haven't played rock and roll. I definitely hadn't played the drums literally in 20 years until we stepped up and did the Hitchhiker show. And that was just so fun. But yeah, just being able to get out and do rock and roll on stage and just seeing that massive room filled with people dressed like aliens and having such a good time. There's a reason that like the rock stars are like, yeah, we're just going to tour until we're 90 years old because every night they look out and see that they're just making all these people happy. Or at least I guess that's why they do it. I would hope that's why they do it.
Right.
But yeah, the whole thing, I'm sure you guys have expressed before, it was just very surreal and very awesome. And yeah, it was it was magical, man.
It
I would
was.
have to agree. I mean, John, how about let's sing us out. We have half of the band here. You realize that, right? I mean,
That's
there's
true. Half the band is in
Yep.
this room.
3/6 of Hitchhiker is here in this podcast. So, John, what were some of your favorite memories of performing with Hitchhiker at
And
Phenomicon?
for me, it was the entire experience. I mean, the whole thing was surreal. I mean, think about that. It went from not existing at all, except for Jay and Travis's own band out in Alabama to suddenly it starts up as an idea as Micah and Jay and Travis doing a guitar jam or something. Next, 3 days later, it's a band. A few weeks later, we're rehearsing in Alabama, with Jay Stratton, Travis Taylor, Micah Hanks, Caleb Hanks, and you. And I'm like, again, it's like, what world have I woken? What universe have I woken up in where this is happening? Right?
And this universe that seemingly has human beaver hybrids. It's
Yeah,
very
it was
insane.
really bizarre. I was expecting the Dino Beaver, but I got the Caleb Beaver.
Dude. Okay, well now I know what I must now I know what I must do.
Sounds to me like that was one immaculate congregation.
Oh my God.
Oh, as May takes a sip from her immaculate cooch or
Oh my God.
coos or whatever it is.
It was an immaculate congregation.
And I will say we are going to have to put the parental advisory thing on here like you guys were talking about, but I'm kind of glad to know that I wasn't the one that caused that.
Yeah. But no, the whole thing, I mean, just all of that and, hanging out, spending a week or a few days, I mean, at the Airbnb with, it's just Jim, Caleb, Micah, and Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
We're just hanging out and we would stay up late talking. And God, that was just great. And then hanging out, going out and having Mexican food like for every meal almost.
I still haven't recovered from that.
That was a lot. Yeah, and then just all the events that happened right around then that led up to the performance being even a little bit more special, with Travis's friend and just there's other stuff going on that just kind of like made that week a lot more special than I think even most people realize. It was really cool to be a part of it. Like when we were done playing, it was like, man, we just finished doing something that was kind of special. Like truly was a special event. Even if we play again, well, we will, but I don't know if it'll match that. That week was just something else, man.
I'm going to have to bring a bigger tambourine, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I will say one of my favorite memories from hanging out at the Airbnb was Jim here showing me his amazing ass cover of Level 42 Something About You.
Right?
That shit slaps, brother. I love it.
Can Rob sing or can Rob sing? I mean, the guy's
Oh my God.
The guy's amazing.
Well, also
Alpha Flight, right?
Alpha Flight. And I hope that they I hope that they refer to themselves as Alpha Flight every once in a while. Those dudes helped me out in my greatest moment of need because the shittiest part about being the drummer is packing up the drums.
Right.
Not only did I have to pack up the drums, I had to pack them into their original boxes and ship them back home. And those guys helped me do that. If I had to do that by myself, I would have been there like till 4 o'clock in the morning. But, I don't know that we would really be able to talk them into it, but maybe if we dose the other guys in the band and get them to agree with us, we could cover Level 42 and Hitchhiker. That'd be great.
I would love it.
I'd love to hear that.
Wow.
See, that's the thing.
We love
That would be
games.
fun. No.
Let
You realize that you're the one who's got to play that Mark King bass part.
I know it. All the pressure would be on me.
All right.
And no, I can't play it. I would have to practice very hard.
Oh, you'd be fine. You could
by
do
next year, by Phenomicon, if we get invited back.
Yeah.
If you get invited back.
If we get invited back.
As a member of the audience, and as one of the things I'm most fascinated with when I go to live events is watching the audience, how the bands interact with the audience, and how they get into it. But I want to say that as a member of the audience, there were the people that absolutely stuck it out the entire 3 hours. But there was a point when the F-bombs were really, really dropping, and all of a sudden, you ever done that experiment with, like, you take water and you sprinkle pepper on it, and then you drop a dish soap drop in it, and all the pepper goes, was a little bit of an exodus after that, but you know what? It left behind the people that were there just truly, truly enjoying the music, which, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're going to stand there for 3 hours and watch somebody play, it means you're really, really enjoying it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we separated the wheat from the chaff.
I think Jay and I were the only ones that didn't cuss that night. And that's because I didn't have a microphone. And
Well,
he
let
didn't.
me just say on
He
the
didn't have
record,
one, so neither was
I'm a New Yorker,
everyone else
so
cussed.
it's not cussing to me. They're sentence enhancers. That's all they are.
Yeah.
that's right.
Just adjectives, colorful adjectives.
Right.
And in our defense, Travis did it first.
Yeah. And then it just blew
That's
up.
right.
And then
Then
he just kept
Micah
doing
did it.
it.
Then
Hey,
Jim did it. And then, okay. I
was
got to
like-
say, real quick, one of the most impressive things about the entire evening was when we were done and we moved the drums out of the way and they were surrounded by empty beer bottles that you had been drinking
Oh,
during
yeah.
the show. Like,
That's funny.
like, holy crap.
That's
How
the
did you pull
key.
this off?
I'll tell you how. Guinness in North Carolina is 4.2% alcohol, and in Utah, it's 4.1. You don't know how much that 0.1% really,
Oh.
really helps.
So that allowed you to go from normally 6 beers to 12.
Yeah,
Right.
24
So then
even.
It's not linear.
Yeah.
Beers were like a fairy ring.
Yeah.
It was,
Dude,
it was
that's
a
a
They were
very
an
Guinness
immaculate
bottle.
configuration.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my
Hey,
gosh.
I'm actually having to pop another Guinness for that one.
Wow.
That's the thing with
I
Guinness.
poured more a while ago.
I need another ginger ale. I can't. You know what? You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna be right back. I got to go get
Well-
me one more ginger ale.
People always think that that Guinness is this really, really heavy beer, but it's actually one of the lightest beers out there calorie wise. And although it feels full because it's a nitro stout and the bubbles are kind of smaller and they feel like they're filling you up, it is one of the lighter beers calorie wise. And I don't know. It's just for me, I can just sip it forever and really not, feel too bad the next day or get too terribly intoxicated.
And did you try oh God, what was it? It wasn't the Guinness Blonde, but that
I did try the Guinness Blonde, that really bizarre rare one.
yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
at the rehearsal
practice.
space.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
My
I'm
normal
trying to
beer
remember-
of choice. My normal beer of choice as a Texan is going to be Shiner Bock anywhere I go. But
Mhm.
they have these other beers that they make, and they have this one, which is the Shiner. This is the Orale, which is their Mexican style lager.
Oh nice.
But they came out with the Orale Lime, which I really like because I don't like beers that are lime and salt because then they end up tasting like battery acid. I've never, consumed battery acid, so I don't
But
know.
the night is young.
But yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like it because it's just got the lime in it. And this is our favorite. And they only stock 3 6-packs at a time at HEB. And every time we go, we wipe out everything that's on the shelf. And then we,
Well,
stock for more.
because I am clearly going to hell, this is for immaculate conflagration.
Oh,
Oh, it was the Guinness Baltimore Blonde that we tried. I had to look it up. It wasn't
Wait.
just a normal blonde. It was.
I
the
knew a blonde
Baltimore
from Baltimore once, but we won't go into that.
Have we done Immaculate Consternation yet?
no. But
All
we
right.
have now.
We have
What
now.
in
We
the
have
immaculate consternation?
Yeah.
John, go get yourself a drink, damn it.
Hang on a
You
second.
might as well. I mean,
Oh,
Well-
yeah, one of my absolute favorite memories of performing with Hitchhiker, honestly, was where I was on stage. I was situated right next to Jay Stratton, and just watching Jay having so much fun, just seeing the smile and just the sheer happiness on his face at times just really made me all the more happy and excited to be up on stage. And then, of course, after singing the Alice in Chains tune, "Man in the Box," when Travis came over and gave me a hug after that was one of my favorite moments as well. Because if you had told me, I mean, me being Mr. Synth guy, Mr. Depeche Mode, OMD, all that stuff, that I would have been performing Alice in Chains' Man in the Box on stage and singing lead vocal during the choruses. There's no way I ever would have believed it. But yet there I was. And now, because of my time with Hitchhiker, I am now an Alice in Chains fan, like big time. So seriously, who knows?
You did really well on it, man.
Hey,
Well,
if
I thought
cussing,
you were going to. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if cussing is allowed, which we've clearly broken that seal, then I would like to say parental warning, even worse language coming up. But one of the most surreal and memorable moments of the entire Hitchhiker event was at the after party at the bar. I'm just walking through the bar, and Travis Taylor is talking to somebody else. And as I'm walking by, he just grabs me, looks at me, and goes, "You are a badass motherfucker."
I love it.
Dude,
I'm like, I've made it as a musician.
There you go, man.
Absolutely.
Can't top
I mean,
that.
I was thinking that Jim was going to say that one of his favorite parts about playing for Hitchhiker was seeing his favorite Texan in the audience,
Well,
because that would have been an opportunity for immaculate commemoration.
Oh my
Oh, gosh.
God. It never stops. I will say,
I'm drinking. I got my Topo Chico. Does that count?
All right, that counts.
Oh, I love Topo Chico.
That counts.
yeah,
That was clearly one of my favorite parts, was having you and Kevin there. Are you kidding? You brought me Sprecher root beer. I mean, come on, what could be better? I mean, I'm now hooked on that stuff. But yeah, that yes, hats off to you and Kevin May for sure.
The drive was fun. I thoroughly. I mean, it was a road trip I needed, and then dumping him in Western Colorado on an airplane, and then making my way home by myself for a week, and just kind of moseying on through Colorado and New Mexico was. It was a really great. It was a really great time. 2 weeks I really needed.
That's awesome.
All the hugs.
Yeah,
I like Topo Chico. It is probably the most bubbly of all the mineral waters. You might say it is a immaculate carbonation.
Woohoo!
Woo!
God almighty.
Do you have? Oof, that was a little burn. Do you have?
I'll tell you, the next time Hitchhiker plays, we're gonna kick so much ass. It's gonna be an immaculate decapitation.
Yeah, and then afterwards, the cleanup crew is going to need to do some immaculate sanitation.
God damn it. Don't do that when I'm drinking.
Oh,
can you get the Topo Chico with the lime flavors or the grapefruit flavors there, or do you just get straight?
Just lime.
Okay, there's a grapefruit one too that I'm weird. I like grapefruit. I like tonic water. I like these weird flavors.
If you like grapefruit, you are weird.
I am. Yeah.
Oh,
And you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
As long as there's a grapefruit. There was no dog. But yeah, I think that's how I used to make sure that nobody took my
The
drink.
question is, though, do you like making love at midnight in the dunes of a cave?
That sounds like immaculate consummation.
Son of a...
Motherfucker!
You can tell she really does watch a lot of fucking Mystery Science Theater.
When I drive, I'm riffing all the other drivers.
No, that's the thing. It's like my wife and I, we love bad TV because we'll throw it on and then we'll just Mystery Science Theater the shit out of it. Yeah.
I cannot watch movies with friends because I'll be riffing the whole time. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is part of the fun.
The worst for me was Game of Thrones because the show is so so serious and slow, and it was like made to riff on, and then I'd be sitting there with a room full of people like, don't say it, don't do it.
Have you ever watched bad lip reading on YouTube?
Oh hell yeah, of course.
Okay, gosh, so you know what I'm talking about.
Dude,
you should not have eaten that kitten meat.
Dude,
yes.
the one that's the Yoda song where he's doing that.
I just saw that the other day.
Oh no! The best one is Bushes of Love.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Love that one.
But yeah, but when the Yoda one came out, I was like obsessed with it. So I played bluegrass for years, and there was a couple of my buddies that were bluegrass musicians that were like Star Wars obsessed, and they saw it too. We would go to this place in town that did a bluegrass jam on Thursday nights, and we'd just drink a bunch of beer, and it'd be getting kind of late, and I'd be like, "Boys, Seagulls, stop it now!" We would literally play that damn thing in the bar to the.
I would totally love to see that. It's been my ringtone ever since.
Oh hell yeah!
My phone goes off, and every once in a while, you know who's cool because they chuckle when they hear "Seagulls, Stop It Now" going on.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm
People
sorry.
empty
listening to
again.
this podcast are going to be
what were we supposed to be talking about tonight?
I
I don't
have
even
no
remember.
fucking idea.
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
we got
we're talking
Mater.
about-
We got Mater cuss. May dropped an F-bomb. That's worth a
Boom.
drink.
There we go. Hey, I was pretty sure that this was the, formal formation of the first ever official Dino Beaver task force. I mean, somebody's got to fucking do it.
It's the inaugural meeting.
So Jim, I don't know if you guys. Poor Jim, he's choking on his.
Immaculate incontinence.
I-
Trust me.
Close enough.
Yes.
We haven't even gotten to the point where we have said, "I digress."
Oh no. There we go.
I didn't know you had a shirt with that
My
on it.
husband designs t-shirts. So the story behind so Claude, Anything Box, he designed a t-shirt that says A Box AF, but it came because Kevin made a t-shirt that is synth pop AF, and you may have seen Jim might have worn his.
I've seen that.
So we gifted one to Claude, and he's been wearing it on stage for his shows. And he did say, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this idea. Do you mind if I run with A Box AF?" And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely, go ahead." My husband just designs these shirts for fun. He'd like to sell some of them, but mostly we end up just, giving away shirts to our friends. And so yeah,
Well,
anytime someone says something clever, it's like, we're going to
You're going to have to print one up for Caleb that says Beaver AF.
Absolutely.
You
Totally
guys,
do it.
I mean, I kind of have like a whole series of tunes that are AF.
Especially the Michael Chiklis one. Holy crap, dude. That one's awesome.
Oh, thanks very much. I was, John, I'll have to send it to you when I get the mix done, but I sent Jim a little preview. I did a Burning for You Blue Oyster Cult cover because I'm
Holy
trying to
crap.
learn how to use UAD Luna as my primary DAW. So, yeah, I messed around
Wow.
with that.
I want to hear it.
Send it to the group.
And I'm going to take you up on you offered to show me how you program drums, and I'm going to take you up on that because I
dude.
suck at it.
Oh, hey.
You let me know, dude.
So bad at it.
The three of us have got to get together sometime, and between Caleb and I, John, we can show you all kinds of really cool stuff. But I can personally vouch, Caleb's cover of "Burning for You" is just amazing. I mean,
I want to hear it.
it's awesome. It's really
Thank you,
well
buddy.
done.
Thank you
Really
so
well
much.
And
Yeah.
I also have to announce that, and May knows this, Caleb, your Apollo Station project is currently in the running for Best New Artist of 2024 on the Soul of Synthpop. So,
Oh, hells yeah. Well, thanks.
there you go.
That's the one. There was a Christmas song, right? Is that you?
I had
some
That,
weird,
that was
weird
that
ass
was
Christmas
Vin
song.
Proxima. That was the Vin
Yeah.
Proxima project.
that song's
Okay.
called Cozy AF. So there's your Christmas shirt.
There you go.
See? There
Yeah.
you go.
Yep.
Yeah, Caleb's tune, Apollo Station, God Killer, I believe. That's the
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
man, I love that song,
Oh,
Caleb.
thank you very much.
that's the tune that my listeners are absolutely going
Oh.
apeshit for. So
That's
Oh,
my
that's so
favorite
cool.
Apollo Station song there, Caleb.
Dude, I'm glad to hear that, man, because
Love
like I wanted the title to sound more controversial than it actually was because it has nothing to do with religion. Like the lyric is literally saying, if you think that you're indestructible, you'll essentially be put in your place if you think you're a god killer, meaning if you think you're Billy Badass, the universe is going to show you you ain't, brother.
Mhm.
But thanks so much. I That's probably the heaviest electronic song I've ever done. I need to do more with Apollo Station because the thing about it is like I'm gonna compartmentalize 50 different fake bands and blah blah blah, and then I'll neglect them like I'll inevitably do my own children. But yeah, I do have a new Apollo Station song that's basically in the chamber and ready to release, but I'm just gonna wait till the new year to put it out.
Well, hey,
Because
if you ever need a remix or anything, just give me a holler, man. I'd love to remix one of your tracks, maybe.
dude, I'll send you whatever you want, man. You let me know. I'll send you the stems,
Yeah.
bruh.
Yeah.
Jim's remixes are just amazing.
Hell yeah.
His Secret
Thank
Space
you.
Program stuff. There was a friend of ours had a song that a few people were remixing, and the friend he had sent me the files of all the remixes that had already been turned into him, and it wasn't Jim hadn't had his yet on there, so it wasn't until later on that I was going back and listening to this again because I'm a lazy music writer. I review music when I feel like it. I don't like deadlines, and sometimes I have to wait for inspiration to hit me just right. But I was listening, and this was the first time that Jim's remix was on there. The Secret Space Program. It was a song called Maybe by our friend Darwin McD. And I had been sitting at my sewing machine doing stuff because when I listen to new music, I have to really, really be focused on listening to it critically. But I was just sewing away, and then all of a sudden, I heard Jim's Secret Space Program remix of Maybe, and I had my headphones on. My husband was behind me at his desk, and he hears me just like sniffling. And I tend to have the emotional output of a brick. And at this point, just tears were splashing in my lap because there was something very, very visceral, moving at a visceral level for me with this remix. And it was absolutely just gorgeous. And I couldn't tell you, I experience frisson, which apparently some people do, some people don't, but I do. I experience music. I don't just listen to it, I feel it. And so that is the depth of Jim's touch that he has, and it's amazing. So yeah,
Well, thank
I
you.
want
You
him
gotta
to
send me
remix
some of
it
that,
with
bro.
What's that?
You gotta send me some of that stuff.
Yeah, I'll send you a YouTube link for that remix. Yeah, it's out on YouTube. You can listen to it. My our buddy Darwin McD, Darren, lives in Southern California. He's one of the most talented musicians that I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and so yeah, I've got this project called the Secret Space Program, and it's kind of like a revolving door where I work with a whole bunch of other different musicians. So if you ever want to work in the Secret Space Program, just give me a holler, man. We'll whip up a project, and you as well, John. Heck, put the three of us on a
Absolutely.
project.
Dude,
You know,
let's
maybe
cameo,
I've,
John.
get
I've only finished one sort of electronic song, and it's just all ambient
yeah,
stuff. It was my
cool,
first attempt. It turned out okay. I'll send it to you.
right on. I'd love to hear it.
Actually, Caleb,
Absolutely.
I don't even know how to send you something. I don't even know how to get a hold of you. Well, I guess I have your phone
Yeah,
number.
just text me. I try to make
phone.
Just wear
Who
a beaver
calls people?
costume.
And
yeah.
no, you put the beaver signal in the sky.
Put the put the beaver in the sky. There you go.
Yeah.
The beaver signal.
And you know what? Totally digressing. Speaking of Darwin McD, today is his birthday. So in his honor, because
Yes,
he is the
in
banana
his
lover,
honor.
I keep emergency banana liquor at my desk.
Oh wow.
There's banana liquor.
Banana liquor.
It's 99. I don't know if you can see. It's 99 bananas. It's a banana liqueur, and he described it as banana runts in a bottle. So yeah,
Oh wow,
Emergency Banana Liquor is a pretty good punk band name.
I think
Yeah.
It
so.
really is.
that is holy cow.
Absolutely.
All righty, folks. Well, we will tie things up here just real quickly. We did start out talking about UAPs and the UAP hearing. I think I
Really?
don't.
That was so long ago.
It was
That was
so
like
it was
last week, bro.
it was like an hour ago, right?
Yeah.
But thank you, very very big heartfelt thank you to Mr. Caleb Hanks for joining us today for this wonderful conversation, and of course always to May and to John. Again, we want to raise our glasses to Roger. And Roger, we hope that you're feeling better. We wish you the very best and can't wait to get you back in the saddle with us. And hopefully someday in the not too distant future, Hitchhiker will get back together and do a show here or there. And gosh, how do you know how fun I think it would be to get Travis and Jay and Micah and all of us in the studio together, not just to write a song, but record a song, and just I think that'd be a lot of fun because I got to tell you that song that Travis wrote, "Freckles on Her Butt," catchy as hell, and I still find myself singing it when I'm not,
Dude,
without realizing it.
It's a little too catchy.
Yeah.
The dude, it makes sense that he is as credentialed in the world of science as he is because he cracked the fucking code, dude. Like that is catchy shit. I had that song stuck in my head for months, like surrounding Utah, dude.
Yep, absolutely. So and just speaking of Travis, I mean, another one of my favorite Hitchhiker moments was when we were rehearsing in Alabama, and just that was the first time that I actually spent any amount of time with Travis in something that wasn't to do with Skinwalker Ranch or something like that, and just seeing how serious he is about music, but not serious in a way like can't have fun with it, but just seriously, the man loves music, and not only that, he understands it like really well. I mean, he truly does have the whole package. I mean, he's got a brilliant mind for science, but he's also one hell of a musician and damn fine guitar player and singer. And I gotta say, I've been fortunate enough to share the stage with some of my biggest music idols that I had growing up. But one of my absolute favorite moments in all of music would be sharing the stage, playing in a band with Dr. Travis Taylor and with Jay Stratton and with Micah Hanks and with you, Caleb, and with you as well, John. Um, Really, truly a very humbling experience that I will never forget. I'll have those memories with me for the rest of my life and beyond because it was, like you said, John, so surreal. Everything about that experience was just. I still have to stop myself and tell myself this really happened.
Mhm.
And if it hadn't been for you two guys here, I'd still be questioning, did we really do that?
Yep.
Did we really just play on stage with Jay
Well,
and Travis? And
speaking of memorable moments, and Travis at rehearsal, it was at the end of Paradise City.
yeah,
Again, parental warning, but this was one of the best moments of ever watching Travis just freaking getting into that song. And at the end of it, he's just like beaming with joy. He goes, fuck yeah.
yes.
I think one
Great.
memory that stuck out at the rehearsal was Man in the Box was like one of the first songs that sounded like we were actually a band.
Right.
And,
Yes.
and dude, by the end of that damn thing, that ba-da-da, and
Yeah.
Travis is like, shit, yeah, brother. He's like, that's a shit right there.
And then I will never forget, and I was absolutely terrified. Do you guys remember in rehearsal? I could not fucking nail the lyric to Rockstar, the timing of. Remember, I'm doing the Billy Gibbons part, the spoken word part.
I'll take the quesadilla.
Right, and I just could not get the timing right, and I could tell that it was pissing Jay off, and Jay just kept on giving me those looks, and he kind of pulls me aside afterward, and he's like, "You're gonna get the timing on that song right before we get to Vernal, aren't you?" And I'm just like, shit, yes, yes, sir, yes,
Yeah.
I will.
Yes, sir.
So, like, for the next 10 days straight until we got to Vernal, I worked on the timing of that spoken word part that I had to do during Rockstar, and just to be safe, I made sure I put the lyrics up on my synthesizer so that I'd nail the lyrics and get them right.
I would say that you got to count your blessings, man, because if a high-ranking government official is angry with you, that's what you want them to be angry with you about.
Right, yeah. So I'm sure I still could have done it better than I did, and I guarantee if we do that song again, I'm going to nail it this time. So, but yeah, that was one of my other rehearsal stories that I have, is just being absolutely, like, oh my gosh, Jay's going to kill me if I don't get this right. So yeah. uh,
Disappear.
yes, indeed. Well, folks, if you like what you heard, and if you've been able to make it this far without abandoning watching the remainder of this podcast here, then please hit that subscribe button down there somewhere on the thing there, and hit the like button, because we like to get likes, because we're kind of like that. So yeah, but thank you again, folks, and we'll be coming at you again sometime soon. And Caleb, we would love to have you come on sometime as well. And I still want to do this kind of like musicians roundtable. See if maybe we can get, maybe bring your brother on, and we
Oh
just
yeah.
talk about some music and the paranormal or something like that, and just do some fun shop talk.
I tried to get his ass on tonight, but he's got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go on News Nation. So,
Ah,
Well,
you know,
I think that's a valid excuse.
living the life of a rock star. But yeah, man, I would absolutely love to just jump on, podcast or not, and just go down the rabbit hole with like the music stuff, the synth stuff, the recording stuff. That I could talk about that stuff all day, man.
oh hell yeah, John, we got to make it happen, man. We got to do
yep,
it.
let's do it.
We got to
And
do
like
it.
I've said, Jim, you can't interview yourself, so you're going to need a moderator who will come up with a new drinking game.
There you go. It's true.
Nobody wants to interview me, though. I'm like the most boring person in the world.
You're
So
so cool.
seriously, no,
I
hardly.
like you. Hey, I
I
like you,
didn't
and
do
that's
you,
all that
Jen.
matters.
Well, I don't do it very often. I have a very infrequent piece of shit podcast called Ghost Wolf Pirate Radio. And Jim, if you ever want to come on, I will interview you, bro.
Oh hell yeah, I'd love to come on. I'd love to. That'd be an honor, man. Especially if we get to talk about music and shit.
All
Any
two of my listeners will love it.
any kind of trippy, freaky stuff, I'm down with it. I got to ask, have you ever had a shadow being encounter? You or Micah?
I don't know about a shadow being necessarily. I don't know. I don't think so. I have had some experiences that were odd and borderline paranormal and synchronistic and very strange, and actually one UAP in New Mexico that was um I don't think it couldn't be explained, but it was definitely odd. But yeah, I don't know. Did I tell you I had? Because I'm blanking if I did.
No, not at all. No, we haven't heard that one.
All right. Well, either way, yeah.
And we can talk about it offline after we wrap this up, because I got to tell you about the experience that Roger and I had at Phenomicon the day before you and Micah arrived in town. Actually, the night that you and Micah arrived in town. I mean, we're talking some next level freaky trippy shit.
They
And
brought it with them.
I'll tell you about it once we wrap up the thing here. Talk about it offline,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Caleb, if people want to listen to some of your music or find out what exactly it is that you do, what's the best way for them to find out about the many wonderful things that you do?
What's the name of your radio show?
The soul of synth pop.
Listen to the Soul of Synth Pop. That's the best way to find my stuff.
Do you have it out there anywhere? Anything that's dropped on streaming, YouTube, Bandcamp, anything?
Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere. I have a couple of fake bands. The more prominent ones are a project called Vin Proxima,
Mm-hmm.
and then another project called Apollo Station. I've probably got some other stuff that I'm completely blanking on. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night, so my brain is kind of fried.
I love the fake bands thing, because Bad Leap Reading, they do that too. They have Glitter Job, and they have
Yeah.
a couple of yeah.
My thought process behind it was like, I have specific projects that I write different songs that are in similar theme, and I like to keep the mythos of said projects going, but it just doesn't make sense for it to be all one thing. It would be very convoluted, and it's like, I know it's harder to find that, but I genuinely don't really care about, like, I don't know. It's just like, I did the being on the road thing and the playing all the time, and I like being home. It's awesome. I like waking up and recording rather than like
It's
going and performing.
yeah, it's art for art's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. And yes, folks, I do have to add my endorsement to Caleb's Apollo station because it is that good. And you will, in fact, hear it on my radio program this Sunday, the 17th of November, as well as in December when I'm going to be doing the best of 2024. And I have it on pretty good authority that Apollo Station will be making an appearance on the best of 2024 broadcast that I do next month for the Soul of Synth Pop. But
Oh, that's awesome, man.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you for the awesome music. Thank you for the wonderful friendship, and it's just an absolute honor to count you and your brother as friends. And like your brother told us earlier this morning in chat, you guys are like extended family, man. We just think the world of you and Micah and Charlotte as well. And
Yep.
hopefully we get to see you
Absolutely.
before too long. And with that, folks, any closing thoughts or remarks from any of you regarding the UAP hearing or really any of the items that we've talked about tonight? We'll start with John.
Okay. John, go
We'll
ahead.
start with John, May.
John, do it.
I have nothing left to say. I think I'm done.
All right, May, you may go.
Well, thank you. I mean, I really want to just leave you with what Gallaudet said that really struck me, and it was one of the final questions about what do you think these are? Because we already know we've got, information, we've got things being hidden from us. But I really loved that he said, I don't think it's a stretch when you look at the diversity of life on this planet and the size of this universe to think that there would be more. I can't even read my own damn handwriting. More something higher intelligence, more higher order, non-human intelligence throughout the universe, and that's probably visiting us. So I just think that it's something to consider, that it's real, it's out there, and this is what brought us here for this immaculate convocation.
Oh dear God, you couldn't leave without that.
I could not.
An immaculate conversation.
Oh,
I tell you what, we
this
could
has been one of-
Absolutely.
we could string this together into a "We didn't start the fire" style of all this shit.
I gotta say, this
Yeah.
has been one of the most awesome podcasts I think that we've ever done. So
This has
to
been
that,
fun.
I raise my glass to each of you. So thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Caleb,
Thank
closing
you, guys.
remarks or thoughts from you?
Hey, yous guys, I love yous guys. I'm glad we got to know each other. I'm glad we got to kick ass and take initials on stage. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more hangs, guys. And yeah, looking forward to some more pods. I won't be able to make it all the time, but I'll make it happen sometimes,
Well, you've got a running open invitation anytime you would like to join us, and
Oh, thank you.
I'll make sure to let you know whenever we have some episodes coming up that I think you might be interested in being a part of. So
Awesome.
for sure. Alrighty, folks. Well, again, thank you so much for tuning in today to the Soul of the Unexplained, and let us know what your thoughts are about the UAP hearing, and if you have any commentary on our shenanigans and tomfoolery. Apologies to those of you with sensitive ears. We will try to do better in the future. Lie, but you never know. Seriously, folks, thank you. We appreciate each and every one of you, our subscribers, and we will see you again on the Soul of the Unexplained. We'll see you next time, folks. See ya.